everyone, this is Sarita Kota. Welcome to Artists Behind the Walls. This is a new initiation by Feast. We at Feast believe that cooking is one of the greatest arts in the universe, and undoubtedly chefs tend to possess greatest talent. So during this journey, we will get to know more about their inner stories and journeys of different chefs across the world. So today I am here with one such great artist who got awarded as Chef of the Year 2016 Hyderabad, Mr. Mandar Subhankar. He started his career with Park Group Hotels and is still working from 23 years. And he's traveled across the globe, and I'm super excited to interview him today. Let's go. So we are here with Chef Mandar, the Chef of the Year 2006 Hyderabad. Super excited to have you here, sir. How are you doing?
Very well, and I'm equally excited to be on the show with you.
Okay, actually, you're born in Karnataka, Belgavi. So could you just tell us about the place and the food?
So my parents and my grandparents, my great-grandparents, they are from that area. So though I was born there, I have not stayed too long in Belgaum. Earlier it used to be called Belgaum. But the food that I am used to is Saraswat cuisine, which is what is made in my family, and it has the influence of northern Canara food that is popular in Goa, Karwar, and that belt. So typically a lot of seafood.
Oh.
Yeah, a lot of seafood, and obviously a good use of the local produce that is native of Belgaum. So my fond memories are always of things like, jackfruit, breadfruit, these kind of dishes, and they associate me with my hometown. The people are very warm, friendly. It is a small town, but now it's booming and it's become big, and it has become one of the smart cities.
Correct.
So obviously that modernization is going to change the face of it. But I remember Belgaum as being a place where I used to go for my holidays. A lot of trees, forests, lovely place.
That's nice.
Very cool as well.
Okay. So your childhood you spent in Delhi. How was it different, and how interesting the food and the place was?
Delhi was, obviously Delhi being the capital of the country exposed us a lot to the culture of the country. A lot of, cultural programs would take place. My parents were very encouraging in terms of taking me out to see these things. So whether it was classical music or whether it was art, or even trying food. We had a big friend circle. We would try food from different parts of the country. So for me, Delhi was, like a melting pot of cultures. And I think the city still has that vibe to it, though it's become very modern now. And obviously very busy and bustling. But my memories of Delhi are of a lot of good friends.
Super.
Excellent time spent there.
Nice, interesting. So, one interesting question now. You are born to an army officer. Generally, the tendency of having inclination towards this patriotism, army, and all that. How did cooking happen?
Okay, this is a question that I'm asked many times, and I have a very, very interesting story to this. Obviously, I was also inclined to join the army, and more towards joining the Air Force in time. And after I finished my 12th, we had a meeting with our counselor, where we sort of decided the career path, and we were given forms to fill in and stuff. So I had purchased my forms for NDA.
Okay.
And the counselor didn't have change to give back to me. So she gave me a hotel management form in place of the change. So and so then that's history, because I filled up that, and then I just got into the merit list for the college, and I went ahead with this decision instead of joining the army.
Just because of the shuffling of the forms made you to get into it? Or?
Yeah, because I was I still am, I was a very honest and straightforward person. So when I came back home and I had to give the money back to my mother, I told her, listen, she didn't have change, so she gave me this form. My mom said, fill it up. I said, well, I don't know what hotel management is. She said, so how does it matter? You fill up the form since you've got it. So I filled it and sent it.
Great. That's really interesting.
In fact, on the day of the exam, because I wasn't keen on giving the hotel exam, I was actually sleeping.
Oh.
And a neighbor of mine who was very keen to join hotels, who would also fill the form along with me, he came in the morning on his moped, and he came to our house and he was asking my mother, he said, "Is Mandar ready?" So my mother said, "Why? What is happening today?" "Oh, today is the hotel management exam."
Okay, okay.
So I was literally kicked out of the bed. I was given a big
I
lecture
can-
on whether my father's money grew on trees and sent for the exam.
So regular.
And so, as luck would have it, I went for the exam completely unprepared, but it had a lot to do with general knowledge and I'm sure basic
Sorry to
intelligence.
interrupt you. There's one more thing that we've read in the blog that you've been packing some sandwiches and all that your mom. So that did that have an impact of filling the form or going for an exam?
No, that didn't have an impact. But I think that had an impact on my internal understanding of food because
Okay,
my mother
okay.
used to work for the Non-Aligned Summit when it happened in Delhi. She was part of the protocol team, and not every day, but I think on a couple of occasions, I packed the lunch for her. So I made the sandwiches. I must have been a 5-year-old kid or something like that.
At 5 years you've packed the lunch?
Yeah, at 5 or 6, I must have made some random sandwiches and packed
That's
the lunch
really
for her.
interesting.
Yeah. I think what's more interesting is that she ate it.
So one more thing, when you start cooking generally, peeling, cutting, boiling, did you start from there, right from cutting the onions, peeling and all, or it's just that you had a team, ye karo, wo karo?
Well, mine was slightly different. I started by working in the butchery, so I cut up carcasses instead of potatoes and onions. But I think that's a rite of passage for a chef. There are levels of skill that you need to pick up, and I think the first skill that you require as a chef is knife skills. Understanding how to handle knives and what knife works for what kind of meat or vegetable and how you need to cut it.
So butchery
So-
experience is completely different from how you
Completely.
cut the vegetables and all. So
Yes,
it's
it's completely different, but yes, I went through that. So, and I think every chef should go through that. First, they should refine their knife skills and then get into the other aspects of
So
cooking.
warrior skills with knives.
Completely.
At butchery to start with.
Completely.
A chef doesn't get recognition or money instantly. So how did the journey was pertaining to achieving what you are today?
Profession. You don't get your instant fame or money in one shot. There is a lot of hard work that goes into it. There's a lot of passion that it takes from you, and it takes a lot of your own personal time. In terms of personal time, that means a lot of sacrifice. In terms of other activities that you would have probably wanted to do. And being a chef is a completely skill-related job. It is less of a desk job and more of
Creative.
creativity and cooking. So this, even if you want it, there is no fast tracking this. It needs years and years of practice to get to a.
What's the motivation? There should be some motivation by you.
Well, the motivation is actually your passion. That is the only single fuel that you need. Every day you get up in the morning and you come to work and you want to do something new, or you want to try out something different, or experiment with new flavors or tastes. So that kind of a passion is what will drive you.
And your career with Park Group Hotel and still with company with about 23 years. So how's this journey and what kind of challenging experience have you had?
I think this has been the most exciting journey for me. I joined in '93 in Park Delhi. For me, the significant fact was that I was always prepared to move, so I moved whenever I had the opportunity. So I worked in Delhi, I worked in Visakhapatnam as part of the pre-opening of Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad, and I've also worked for brief stints in Calcutta and Mumbai, in all the hotels. So it was not always being confined to one place or one type of work environment.
Yeah.
So even though I have been with one company for a long time,
23 is quite
yeah,
long.
I worked in a lot of different hotels and with different ethnicities. So it was very interesting in that sense. And Park Hotels has given me ample opportunity to develop my skills. Sent me abroad many times to do my training. So it's a great company in that sense because it really encourages people in the creative field a lot.
That's nice.
Yeah, and it always aspires to be at the cutting edge of creativity. So anybody who wants to join as a chef in Park Hotels, he should just blindfold himself.
Wow, that's really nice. That's nice to know about the park. And I guess I've seen that, you know, from Delhi directly to Vizag, I mean, completely a different experience.
That was also another interesting episode.
From the park experience, probably.
Yeah, in our career, because we were very fresh to hotels and also to Park Hotel. And one day we were called by the HR manager. He said, "Look, we are looking for candidates who would like to volunteer for work in Vizag." And me and a colleague of mine, we were always eager to see new places, and you know, we had this fancy notion of Vizag, beach town.
Okay, so that okay, because
not
of the beach and
probably assuming that we're going to Miami or something like that.
Imagination.
But yeah, so we volunteered,
Yeah.
and then we found ourselves in Vizag 1 week later. So it wasn't Miami, but it wasn't bad. It was a great
You had a
place.
good experience.
Yeah, we had a lovely time there. In fact, I think the short time that I spent in Vizag really toughened me as a chef, and it laid the foundation for furthering my career in the industry.
So now, the most interesting question actually. Do you want to know more about your love story
Oh.
and some memories with Meenakshi Garu?
So, as a part of being a senior chef in the organization, one of the tasks that we were entrusted with was to train management trainees. So when a group of management trainees join the organization, they go through different training processes. So they trained in service, they trained in all aspects of hotels. And I was the designated instructor for food production.
Wow.
So the common thought is that that's where I met Meenakshi and that's where I roped her, but it is the other way around.
Now that's something which
So
we'll
if
have
you-
to know more.
Yeah, so if you ask her, she's very candid about it and she makes
I see.
no two ways. Yeah, she's quite forthcoming in that way. So she's the one who hitched me.
Oh my god, underline this.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I was her instructor and she was a good student.
Nice. So who is the boss at home right now in the kitchen?
Controversial question,
Yeah, I know.
but the answer.
But that's more important to us, you know. So who is the boss right now at home? Because I know you rock the world at
anyone who's in a job has got two bosses. He has one at work and one at home. I hope that answers the question.
Alright, so we got it. So how does she cook according to you? I mean,
I have a very interesting story here. Soon after our marriage, my wife is a Tamilian and she's born and brought up in Calcutta. So she has both influences in our family, a Bengali influence as well as a Tamil influence. So, I think it was within a month of our marriage, we were trying to settle down in Bangalore. Both of us very newly transferred to that place, and she was making food one day. And she made, I think, pongal or something. Now I don't remember what it was. And she said, incidentally, she used to call me chef even after marriage because she was so used to calling me chef.
Okay.
So she used to call me. So she said, "Chef, how is the food?" And I said, "Yeah, it's okay." She said, "No, tell me frankly, how is the food?"
she
So-
should not have probed more.
No, I should have kept my mouth shut.
Okay.
So then I gave her a very frank and forward opinion about how the food was. It wasn't really great.
Okay.
And I think we are the only couple that didn't talk to each other for 3 months after being newly married.
Oh.
Because
You said the food was not good.
she stopped talking to me.
But she
So-
addressed you as a chef, and then you've been really honest in giving the answer.
No, so it was. I think there were underlying lessons for both of us. I learned to zip up. It's very different.
All your husbands actually.
Yeah, it's very different when you're giving a professional opinion in professional space. At home, you need to be a little
Gentleman.
more
Yeah.
diplomatic. So there's a nicer way of saying things.
So you've
That was the
learned.
lesson for me.
So,
And I think she also understood the fact that that she won't get flattering comments
In order to
The food
improve
is
her
not-
skill, yeah. In order to improve.
So we both of us worked on it. I obviously have done a very good job, and I have to admit that she has picked up cooking very well.
Wow.
She now cooks all kinds of
Meenakshi
things.
girl is watching all this and she's getting real good appreciation
Yeah,
right
no,
now.
she cooks very well, especially if it's food that is Indian, South Indian, Bengali food, and she makes excellent. So when it comes to Western food and if we're entertaining friends, then I get to enter the kitchen. Otherwise, she's very happy handling the kitchen.
Nice, good to know. And how about your son? Can we know a bit more about him?
So my my son is a very interesting character.
Interesting character.
He so when he started play school, when he was
Okay.
in the maybe 2.5 years old, he used to watch me cook a lot at home. And many times I used to make his, maybe make a little pasta or ravioli or something for his lunchbox. And he would sit on the kitchen counter next to me and understand. And he would converse and he would ask me what is going in, what I'm putting and how I'm making it and all that. And I didn't know why he would ask me all this till, I went for a parent-teacher meeting and I realized that the teachers used to ask him
At
questions.
the age of?
He was maybe 2.5 or 3 in play school.
Is it?
They used to ask him, what
it
does your daddy
this
make at home? And then he would start
Oh.
telling them recipes.
Wow.
So he got introduced to a lot of ingredients, even things like, like balsamic vinegar and stuff and all he knew at that age.
Superb.
And he
So-
would rattle off these recipes and
It's in the blood.
teachers would take it down.
I know, it's in the blood, At the age of 5, you
Yeah.
could pack, sandwiches, and then your son, 2.5 years, is giving the recipes to the teachers.
Yeah, so he
Amazing.
was, so we realized that he's really interested in foods.
So, while observing your blog, I've noticed that you have a special, attachment towards Italian food. Why? So, could you just tell us?
So, my real part of my career where the cooking started was with a Spanish restaurant called Las Meninas. We had started this restaurant at the park in Delhi. I think it was years ahead of its time. Delhi also probably wasn't ready for that kind of international cuisine at that time. But that really got me interested because Spanish food, like Italian or French, also works a lot with freshness of the ingredients and their own local produce and all that. So I got introduced to a lot of ingredients, high quality international ingredients at that point of time. And so then when the hotel decided to open an Italian restaurant in Bangalore, I perhaps fit the bill of having the right skill sets to learn this new cuisine.
I've heard about having a sensitive palate towards the spice and combination, especially in Italy.
Yeah, so that was one of my learning experience. So I worked with very famous Italian chef Antonio Carlucci. He's almost like the grandfather of
Is it?
Italian cuisine.
Oh, okay.
He's written I think 12, 13 books on Italian food. He's a walking, talking encyclopedia on food. So I mean, what better person can you get this kind of knowledge to learn from? So I was very fortunate to have interacted with him and to have worked with him, and even now we're still in touch. So in his restaurant, this was my realization when I was working in the restaurant. They made a dish called penne arrabbiata. Many people are familiar with it. And Indians especially love this dish because, arrabbiata means to get angry, and that anger comes from the use of chili and spice in it. The Arab connotation.
Okay.
So one of the chefs in his restaurant was making this dish, assuming that because I am Indian, I would like spicy, and I would be thrilled with that dish. But when I ate it, there was no spice for me in it. And,
Obviously.
and he looked at me like I had come from some other planet or something. So, and he used to talk Italian, and I could not speak Italian at that time. I could only converse in English. So in Damsharaj, in actions, he showed me that there's going to be steam coming out of your ears when you eat this. And to me, there was no spice.
Okay.
So I asked him, I said, what have you added?
Okay.
So he showed me the chili. I smelled it, it looked fine to me. And I just ate up the chili just like that, like I would eat cucumber.
Okay.
And I ran out of the kitchen,
Oh.
telling everybody, all the other people that this alien just ate one full chili. So it was a big joke at that time.
Is it?
But when I went home at night and I was thinking, because he added only 2 slices of chili in the dish, and I was thinking, I ate a full chili and I did not feel anything on my palate. This man eats 2 slices of chili in the sauce and feels it is spicy. So that means my palate is not as sensitive as his.
Oh wow.
And his is not as highly trained as mine.
Correct.
So for me, that was a big moment in terms of understanding Italian food. I completely stopped eating spice after that because I had to retrain my tongue and my palate to understand
Super.
what spice means to an Italian. And that lesson I carried forward over the 10 years that we did the Italian restaurant in Bangalore.
Seriously interesting.
Yeah. And always that used to be my endeavor in training the team also, because we are working with a team of Indians and they're very free with their hand.
True.
So you have to keep explaining to them that listen, this is now not how the cuisine is. Unless asked for, do not overspice.
Correct.
So it was one of the defining moments in understanding the cuisine for me.
Lovely to know that. So, one question, how do you define food? What does food mean to you?
Many years back, I had about I think kidney stones, and a doctor in his talk with me said you have to stop eating spinach and you have to stop eating tomatoes.
Oh, generally, yeah.
And I came back so depressed from last
I
night.
understand.
I must have consulted every person, every doctor.
second opinion.
For a second opinion, and also, how do I get rid of this kidney stone? Because I cannot not eat spinach and not eat tomatoes.
That's the most important ingredient.
So yeah, and also as a part of my upbringing, I was taught to eat everything. My mother used to have a standard line. She used to say, kids say we don't want. Karela hai, nahi khana hai. Tinda nahi khana hai. Or lauki hai, I don't like. We had that. So sometimes I used to try that trick with my mother. No, I don't want. So she used to tell me one thing. She said, I will give you 1 spoon. If you like it, I will not give you more.
If you like it, I'll not give you more.
Yeah, because you refused.
अच्छा हाँ क्योंकि
पहले नहीं खाना था, you didn't want to eat.
मना किया.
I will say you eat 1 चम्मच. 1 चम्मच डालो नहीं आपके प्लेट में, वो 1 चम्मच आप खा लो. नहीं पसंद है, don't take more. But if you like it, I will not give you.
Nice.
So that was a very tricky situation to be
Seriously
in.
tricky, yeah.
That means you cannot comment before eating. And those are prejudices that we carried to the dining table. This is not good. That is not good. What it did for me was I started appreciating everything. So if I was eating Karela, I would appreciate the bitterness in it. And I started liking it. For the same reason that you would say, you eat anchovy, you like the fishiness and the saltiness in it. Because that is what the ingredient is all about. So if you cannot like that ingredient for what it is, how are you going to like the food? So I'm completely neutral in terms of my appreciation for food. I like everything that comes with it.
So quite a deep insight actually.
Yeah,
Appreciating.
So to me, food is everything.
And your creativity not just is limited to food. We see that you write well. Come on, yaar. Kolaveri, pancakes, and whatnot. I mean, you write so well, and you have special inclination for photography and then music.
Yes, I think all of that has been a part of the upbringing, so which is why it is there. And my wife is a trained classical musician. I think that also attracted me towards her. And there have been musicians in my family. My grandmother used to sing. My father used to play flute. Occasionally, yes. I play the guitar.
Okay.
And so music was a part of it. My mother is a journalist, so the writing bit came, I think, from there. I used to write even as a kid. I used to write for the Times of India, Hindustan Times, and all that. I think I've written a couple of articles for women's magazine like Femina and all. It's a long time back.
Is it? I mean, you write apart from food also? I'm interested.
Yes, I do, but I have not published any of that. I've got diaries that I've filled up.
Because I've noticed that you have written, about the rain, and then again you've gone back to the food part of
Food
it,
part of it, yeah.
and then saying, the barish mein kuch aise. So without having food, could you write anything?
So that form, yes, it's wonderful that you mentioned that. But that form of writing, I think in drama it's called conceit. So you take an experience, a life experience, and then you sort of bring it to see how it gels into food, or how that life experience really translates into food.
So for the experiential dinners, I heard that you go yourself to the market to handpick the vegetables and all. So is there any specific reason behind it?
Well, there are like a couple of reasons for it. Actually, maybe three reasons for it. One is when we go to the market, we see what is seasonally available, and it's a lot. I mean, there's no rocket science in knowing the fact that what is seasonally available is great to work with, and will have the best flavor profile at that point in time. So the first point was that. The second point is that to me, I get a lot of ideas when if you just take a general walk in the market, you get a lot of ideas
Available.
Yeah. For instance, once we were trying to create an experience for someone, and we went to the market and we saw this Puntikura flower.
Yeah.
And I was there with my team of chefs, with 3-4 of us, and we didn't know what it was. So we asked the lady who was selling it, what is this? What do you do with it? So she said, we make chutney with this, and this is like this, and it's consumed, and it's only flowering for a month. So we said, okay, let's take this and let's try and experiment with it.
Okay.
We ended up making a tonic, a drink out of it.
Wow.
And the way it turned out was beautiful. It was like a red colored drink. Completely natural color, so there's no added color to it, and the flavor profile was mind-blowing. So had we not made that trip, we would have never come up with something so interesting.
Correct.
So that is my second reason. And I think third reason, as a part of training the team, and also sort of sharing the passion with the other chefs, I like to take them out also into the market, so we can talk about things. And many times, I'm not I've been here about 6-7 years, but I'm not a localite. So the people who work with me in my team, some of them are locals. And when we go out, they say, chef, my grandmother does this with this. So there's a good sharing of ideation that happens. And then we decide, okay, maybe let's try your grandmom's recipe and create something new. So it just opens up like a huge box of ideas that one market visit. So I think, that it's a must.
Really beautiful, yeah. It's very informal, wherein you can sit with your team, talk, discuss, know more about it, and understand
Correct.
the local. Right. Now I'll have to travel myself to the market.
Come with us when we go the next time.
Yeah, sure. I think that should be done. All right. And next, the most important question, to be very honest, would be you are going to be the host for our feast. So, what is it going to be very experiential dinner? How is it going to be different then? Because it's from Chef Mandar after all.
So I have my fingers crossed as well. I think when we do an experiential dinner, and if you really ask me what it is, I would call it mindful eating. And the reason I call it that is because every dish that is made or put together in a menu has a very solid thought process behind it. So when you go out to eat in restaurants, and restaurants have so many things to offer, you can just select things from the menu randomly, and each of them may be nice.
They have a specified
some people go and eat the buffet, some people order from the a la carte, some people request the chef to make something specific or special for them. But at that point of time, no thought is really being shared. When I say mindful eating, each dish has got a certain thinking that is attached to its creation, and whether it involves the flavors, whether it involves the cooking techniques, or whether it involves the kind of ingredients that are used. So you could possibly use a cuisine and turn it around on its head by just tweaking the thought of it. And for the experiential diner, that becomes infinitely interesting because he's understanding your thought and then seeing how it translated into something on the plate.
Wow.
When we usually do these experiential dinners, I speak to the clients and I understand what is it that they want out of it, whether they're celebrating an occasion or something, and then we create a bespoke menu
for the occasion. Here, for this, it is just plenty of thoughts put in a sequence, because right now, we would like to bring this experience to the diners of Feast. And I think once we get into the dialogue, we'll probably come up with more designed ways of doing it.
It's like you want to understand the occasion and the people and be more specific
the occasion is everything. So I can give you an example. Like once somebody wanted to do a birthday dinner, so we got thinking, how can we make the birthday, and so we started thinking, and the thought process went like this: that birth leads to growth, and then this eventually you perish. So let's do a dinner that works around the concept of growth. So we did 6 courses, and we started the first course made only with seeds, the next course only with sprouts, and that is sort of defining the growth. And then the third course we did, when the leaves come out. So the third course had only leaves. Fourth course was made only with flowers. Fifth course at the stem, and then the last course with the dessert, it brought you back to the soil. So
this is amazing.
This is what I meant by saying that there's a lot of thought that meanders
this is definitely
through the
mindful food, I would say. I think probably when you could think so much for your birthday, then I'm sure it's going to be more and more interesting in case if you're planning for an experiential dinners with Feast. Really.
So we sure hope that that the diners can relate to this thought, and I think since I did this dinner, I can very confidently say that they all loved this concept. They loved the way the thought was put together, and their appreciation for the food just went manifold. Every time they saw something, it's just wow.
Obviously, because so much thought process can get into the food for the occasion. It's not easy. So your creativity actually is flowing, and your spirituality is reflecting, to be very honest.
Thank you.
So, thank you so much, Chef Mandarji, to be here with us. It's been really interesting conversation, and we are really glad, that Feast could come here and take so many inputs from you. And today I realized that food is just not about eating or having anything to just munch it up. But there's so many things associated with it, right from picking the vegetables and then having a special inclination and a mindful process which gets into the food during the process, and the kind of output it can give, Amazing. We've known a lot today. I'm really happy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I have a question, in fact, something that you can answer to the Feast viewers as well. Tell us where you were born.
That is something which nobody knows. Yes. I was born in the kitchen. So maybe that is why I have to say.
This is the real high point of the interview. Today I have, for the first time in my life, met somebody who's been born in the kitchen. So if people think that chefs are born in the kitchen,
no,
wrong answer.
The one who love food may be born in the kitchen, and probably universe already decided, to have an inclination to come under Feast and to interview you, a person like you.
But it's great talking to you. Fantastic.
Great talking
so
to you too. An amazing experience it was. Thank you.
Thank you.